So with the successful Guilty as Charged in the bag, welcome to the follow-up series to ECW New Breed Unleashed. 1 year on from the return of ECW2 weekly programming, February 2007 marks a new era for ECW as the company returns to TV. ECW on FX, as you can see, 3 days from tonight. We are in the direct aftermath of Guilty as Charged here, and that means, unfortunately, the first thing I have to do is deal with Trent Acid, an incident from last night where he was wasted on drugs. He's been in rehab for several months before. That was his return match, and unfortunately, he's annoyed Chuck Palumbo, he's annoyed Little Guido, and he's annoyed his tag team partner Johnny Cashmere. I have no choice but to fire him. A positive impact, so hopefully he can be back in the future. He's happy at the decision, so not too bad there. As well as Trent Acid, a few other people have left the company, people who were used mainly as jobbers and who I don't really see anything for going forward. Ray Gordy, Roadkill, Elijah Burke, Al Snow and Chris Cage. Danny Doran as well. Those people leaving the company, which frees up space for some fresh new talent. There is a playlist that contains every show I've booked in this save so far, and that will be available in the description to this video, but I hope to set the scene if you want to join the journey from this point on. There is also a link to a post in the Grey Dog Software forum, which will tell the story of the first year of ECW's revival through what I consider the key stories and the most important people who have been in that show. As I did with the best of 2006 episodes, I'll be moving the timeline on 2 weeks with the idea that Guilty as Charged was scheduled for February 28, 2007 and followed by 2 weeks of inactivity for the ECW roster. During those 2 weeks, FX would air 2 one-hour preview shows for their new program, one based largely on the rise and fall of ECW DVD, an edited version of that, focusing exclusively on the company's original run back in the 90s and early 2000s. The second would recap the rebirth of Extreme, and that post I mentioned earlier would more be the content of that. For me, the stories we would focus on would be the Hustle versus the Originals, a storyline that was the very first one that we set up, and probably the subsequent demise of the Heyman devised group, Rob Van Dam's path to his first ECW World Championship run, and then the rivalry between Rhino and CM Punk that led to Rhino becoming the dual champion. This would serve as the introduction to the majority of the people who would assume were not watching the show, no matter how impressive the numbers were on ECW.com. Of course, in 2007, FX will have a considerably larger reach than any potential online show, and viewers would need bringing up to speed. So the idea is that there is those 2 weeks to educate the fans and bring them up to speed on what's happening. We would also cover the failed push of Brent Albright, albeit in storyline terms, the idea that he was seen as a blue chip prospect, the kind of guy who could be the CM Punk level. The idea I want to get over with him is that he's rebuilding his career in that tag team with Chad Collier, and of course we'd also look at the impact of the Extreme Horsemen led by Steve Corino, who have had a major storyline with Brent Albright and Chad Collier for much of the year. Profiles of ECW wrestlers would take up the later part of the show, with focusing on like the key people, CM Punk, Rhino, maybe Low-Key and a few other people. We'd also have focus on the new stars to ECW, the people who even those watching on ECW.com might not know. Of course, Jerry Lynn came back. I'd imagine most people know about him. But in 2007, TJ Wilson, Harry Smith, Teddy Hart are all pretty new to the scene. There would also be an interview with William Regal, who we remember made his debut at Guilty as Charged. In that interview, it was revealed that he was bringing 2 names you may have seen on screen already. Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness are coming to ECW for the new show on FX. That would be a major announcement for that show. Bryan has just lost the Ring of Honor World Champion at Final Battle 2006. He's had a few matches for 0-1 since then, but Christopher Daniels won the title from him. Nigel McGuinness was also the ROH Pure Champion. I'm pretty sure right up until he left the company. I'm not sure if he did eventually drop it. Oh no, he lost it quite a long time ago. But both of them key players for Ring of Honor when they signed with ECW. William Regal wasn't doing much with the WWE in real life at the time and is brought in to be a familiar face who can introduce 2 new competitors who I feel can be to 2007 what CM Punk and Low-Key have been for 2006. Independent stars, huge names already in some circles, but they are ready to take that next step. It's also been confirmed that the large majority of the roster have been given new contract extensions. Everybody's contract pretty much match ended in February 2007, so I had to make a decision before the FX show. There are a few people there who it might be surprising have got new deals, but someone like Balls Mahoney, he's never caused me any problems. He's pretty reasonable in terms of losing to whoever he's asked to lose to. He's got major negative momentum there, but he's somebody who I'm happy to keep around. Originally in this save, I planned for the WWE to steal some of our talent, particularly CM Punk. The idea was that we were under the WWE umbrella as a halfway house between development and the main roster, but with ECW now at war with TNA, I started that war around halfway through last year. TNA at war with us. I think there's a logic to Vince allowing us to keep our stars. We are the attack dog, the homegrown alternative to WWE, with the idea that we will stop TNA from growing as big as it ever did. We're fulfilling that niche for the lapsed and disenfranchised WWE fans. Eventually some people will have to move on, and with that in mind, I gave CM Punk only a 9-month contract, a written contract at that, but in 9 months I am going to try and make it so that WWE do definitely steal CM Punk. The idea that I need to create new stars then, forcing my hand, and over the next 3 quarters of the year, we need somebody at that CM Punk level because he has undoubtedly been the star of the show. The very end of the FX show would introduce almost the entire roster to viewers, announcing that win-loss records were fresh, so things weren't being remembered from the CyberSlam show. So if you were getting in board now, you'll be right in on the ground floor. We'd get a montage featuring pretty much everybody in the company who is considered the core roster. That means that the likes of Kevin Fertig and Balls Mahoney probably wouldn't have been aired in that. Fertig will come back into storyline, but at the moment he's off screen just recovering from losing his undefeated streak. CyberSlam will continue to air on ECW.com. It's going on about a month hiatus, but it will be back featuring the lesser known names and serving as our B show really. I won't cover this in full in videos, but I will try and keep people up to date, and it'll allow me to try different stuff out and not worry too much about the ratings. Also, it works with the FX show being live. We've got a 1-hour CyberSlam recorded before the live weekly episodes, giving the fans in the arenas 2 hours of wrestling before that then airs the following Thursday on ECW.com. Things are definitely going to the next level, particularly in terms of that war with TNA. We're going head to head with them. I've set it up in game that we're both on Thursday nights, late evening, so that is going to be a key part of the series going forward. I cannot wait for that first episode. We may be 2 weeks from the events of that night, but the wounds will still be fresh, as the reaction and backlash to what happened at that huge Guilty as Charged 2007 show, check that out if you've not seen it, will give us a great platform, a perfect starting point, as ECW debuts February 15th, 2007, just a couple of days before the 1-year anniversary of the first episode of CyberSlam. We are coming to FX.